also haven't fasted since I was 12.
Oh, you haven't fasted? She's just a
Sorry, Mom. And, we'll edit that.
2 minutes into the podcast. Best episode so far. No one has complimented us once.
Action! Testing.
Hello.
Oh, wow.
The icebreaker question.
The icebreaker question, yes.
Welcome to the podcast, Amani. Thank you for taking us through how to do our jobs, just like how it is to spread bagels. So the icebreaker question for today is, you've been stuck on a desert island for a year. You managed to survive. You've finally been rescued. And now you're back home. And what is the first thing you eat?
First of all, I would never survive. But the first thing I eat is, I feel like I have to paint a picture here.
Okay.
So it's an early weekday. I'm in 5th grade, right? But I get to skip school that day because it's Eid, which is the end of Ramadan time. And we wake up super early, like 6, 7.
Like before sunrise, right?
And you pray a little, and then you go to the mosque, but the women stay back and cook. We could talk about that later. And you come back, and there's like specific Eid food. I don't know how to describe it, but it tastes different, and you make certain things on Eid. So we just came back from the mosque and pretended to pray. Sorry, Mom. And we'll edit that.
2 minutes into the podcast. She's already like throwing that can.
We'll edit it out. But it's this thing called hari kebab. I don't know if you've heard.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a Bengali thing. I don't know.
It
But it's like it's beef or you can use lamb, but it's mostly beef, and it's like the marinade is like mint and a lot of curry and cumin and garam masala, and it's like not like a traditional kebab where it's thick. It's like kind of almost like stringy, and you eat it with homemade parathas, and then we have chicken korma, and then the special type of egg, and it's just amazing. So.
And you specifically make it for Eid, or it's just a nice thing that you can make any special occasion?
It's not particularly like a very fancy food, but for some reason we only.
It's very homely and communal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Think of it as I don't know. Are you familiar with Are you familiar with any style, any like Muslim style of eating? You know, when the Muslim families come together, they make amazing food. And there'll be biryani. So biryani is like a big dish which is made.
Sure.
I don't know if you make biryani in your. Is it part of?
Oh,
your
I
meal?
don't make, but my mom.
But it's part of your meal that you do.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. So it's like your meal when you come back from it, which kind of makes sense. She's not eaten for 6 months.
No, the desert island doesn't mean there's like zero food. You can't survive for 6 months without food unless you're like morbidly obese.
Yes, you survive, but you're not eating like 3 times a day. You wake up and have breakfast. No, you're in a fucking night.
But I also haven't fasted since I was 12.
Oh, you haven't fasted? She just apologized. I think this podcast is like your way to apologize to your mom.
Yeah, let's unpack there. But also, like on Eid, it's kind of like an open house for everyone in the family and family friends. Like your door, you leave it unlocked the entire day, and anyone at any point can like stop by. So you have to have like just food ready all the time. So
And you also go to different families as well, right?
Yeah, that logistically sometimes doesn't work.
Because you kind of miss each other.
Yeah. No, there's been so many times where we roll up to somebody's house and they're not there because they're also,
right.
And
but you would cook with your mom?
No, she is an amazing cook, but she is such a perfectionist. She never let anyone in the kitchen. So I never learned cooking from her. I taught myself. So she's just such a perfectionist that she never let anyone in the kitchen. So I didn't cook.
But you could observe and learn, no?
Theoretically, yes, but
But you probably don't want to be around a perfectionist while they're making like a complicated thing.
Exactly.
Like,
and she's like, she's a desi mom, so she's like, she's like cooking, and she's like, I just cook and I clean and I slave, and you just sit there and watch me, and I'm like, I can help you, and she's like, no.
Yeah.
So you're just like, okay, I just don't.
Same. And it's same with my mom. I'm like, no, she'll be like, your biggest help is by not being around me.
Yeah.
Wow, mom,
Yeah.
great.
She's like, you'll understand when I die. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
So this, I think it's hard for you to relate. There is this like over dramatic, like Desi is the word we use for native. I would say. So native, Desi is usually used for like brown people who come from the Indian subcontinent. And it's like mothers, and I've noticed the Latina mothers and Latino mothers are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
In terms
That's
of
very
like
true.
the way they are, like the way they behave, and very similar personalities. Like they'll do all the work and they'll complain, and then they'll also like not let the kids do any work.
Yeah.
But back to the food. So you're having this big feast, and so for you it's the special time.
Yeah.
What was your favorite Ramadan moment, if you have any, like Eid moment, like the favorite Eid that comes to you? It doesn't have to be a favorite, the one that comes to your mind. You could be 10, you could be 12.
So not specifically during Ramadan, but during Eid, which is like the festival at the end of, or the celebration at the end of Ramadan, the custom is to like give smaller children money, like not a lot, but like you kind of give out like $10, $15, $20 bills, and it's like the most amazing thing when you're a kid, because you feel like you're like a billionaire, right? I think my favorite part was when I was old enough to start doing that for like my nieces and nephews. Like I don't know, it's like, oh my god, like I remember how I felt when I used to receive this, and now I get to like give it to them. Like I give my own or money or whatever I was doing at the time, but enough to like pass that on to like my nieces and my nephews, and they're just like, their faces are just like, it feels like you've given them like
I mean, it's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
It's a nice feeling.
So yeah.
How old were you when you started earning?
I think
enough to like go away for Eid.
Yeah, I think when I first got like my part-time job, like when I was maybe like 15 or something, and you're not giving a lot, like you can give like 5, 10. So I think way out when I started kind of doing that, and then at that age you probably shouldn't be getting money either, because you're getting a little older.
Which age? When you're 15?
Like 16, 17, 18.
Oh, you shouldn't be getting money.
At that point, you probably shouldn't be getting money anymore. You're getting a little older. So yeah.
We're introducing Pavel to all the cultures of tradition. Are you used to this, like getting money from when you go at a family, whatever, get together?
I mean, there are similar Jewish things. Like Purim, kids get money and adults get drunk. So I guess that's not like a Muslim holiday.
Yeah.
But that one is great because like there was this kind of like gray zone where it could do both.
Yeah, the gray zones.
Yeah. Which is also, I think, not for that specific reason, but I think that's why a lot of people have this like attachment to like high school and uni years, because you can still pretend like you're a child, but you can basically do all the adult things.
Yeah. I kind of feel like that now.
Yeah, MBA is definitely a part of that.
Sometimes
Yeah.
like, hey, do you need any money? I'm like, I'm 30 years. My parents asking me this, but yes.
But yeah, same, like I would go back now and I would like, they would pay for me for my dinner and stuff. It feels weird. I'm like 32.
Yeah.
But MBA is different.
I feel like we've regressed in a certain way. Like I was young, and then I was like
adult, and
then now I'm young again.
Do you think personally for you, there's a change in the way you act? Like you act less of an adult now.
Like in the MBA compared to before the MBA?
Like if you're leaving bling bling at 6 and say, oh, that's not an adult thing to do, that's fine. Those are like...
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't do that now. I would say... Like, I don't know, the MBA is a weird time. Maybe you guys feel this way too. Like you're an adult, you kind of have become who you are. Like at this point, you're probably not going to change a lot. You know what I mean? Like you've kind of come here with your values and stuff already. And then you meet all these different types of people, and like finances suddenly become a huge problem again, or like start becoming a problem when you're like tight on cash, and you're not making any money, and you're going to school in your little backpack with like. So I feel like, I do. I feel young again, but it's weird because I feel young, but I feel still old. Like I drink and I'm hungover for 4 days. Like I turn my neck
Sorry,
this
Mom.
way.
Sorry, Mom.
I turn my neck this like a little bit too far this way, and then I can't turn my head for like the next 24.
Yeah, we're still old, yes.
Yeah, so it's like it's weird because I feel like the soul has become young, but we're like old. So it's like it's strange. I don't know if you guys feel that way.
I do. It's like the last time I used to, when you were in college, and I would go out, then I would have to come back early, tell my mom where I was, and it was a bit more. Yeah, you could do stupid shit, but it was also like, okay, you have to. It's under the supervision of the family. Now it's like, yeah, just do
Because
it.
when you were going to uni, you were living.
I was living with my
so-
parents. Yeah, I was living with my parents. It was a very different. I think, and that's a difference I've noticed in a lot of people who did uni but were not living with parents. They also kind of got to do this.
Yeah.
But for me, this is the first time. It's like uni life without the supervision of family,
Yeah.
and it's very different.
What about you, Paul?
I didn't live at home when I did uni, so I kind of like got this out of my system once, and now I'm getting out of my system again, and maybe in 10 years' time I'll try to find something.
PhD.
Would you guys study again?
PhD, no. I think like especially in humanities, which is kind of my area. I think PhD is a very lonely thing to do. Like at least if you're like a chemist, you work in a lab, you kind of come to work every day and you have like a normal lifestyle. You just get paid less, but you have like the academic prestige or whatever. But if you're doing like history PhD, you have to find some incredibly niche topic because so many things have already been written. And then you probably like will write something for like 3 years, 4 years, and then like 4 people read it. And so I think that's just, kind of antisocial and not that fun. But if I had to study again, I think I'd do a creative writing course or linguistics. Because I find linguistics very interesting, and I never like had any direct exposure. But I speak quite a lot of languages, so that should help.
So we have segue into the second section of the podcast, and for our thousands of fans, and this is a joke I repeat every podcast.
And it gets funnier every
It gets
time.
funny every time because we don't increase our fan base even by one. No, wait. This is a special. This is yeah, Sean has to. I know. Yeah.
She doesn't.
She's got so many mentions here. Like I was gonna, every podcast episode has like a quote.
Yeah.
So yours is sorry, mom. It'll be like Amani in brackets, sorry, mom.
Maybe in like 20 years.
Maybe 20 years.
I'll show
Okay.
this to her.
In 20 years. That would be nice. That would be so cool to watch these videos after
My
20
mom
years.
will be watching you guys.
Oh my god, no.
You had so much hair back then.
Both of you have really nice hair.
Oh, thank you. Really?
Really good, yeah, really good hairline.
Oh, best episode so far. No one has complimented us once. We've had 11 people, 11th person, and not one person like, hey guys, you're looking nice. Good job. No one.
She made us chili.
She fed us food. She got me cupcakes. She baked muffins, and then she got us wine. Actually, wait, you got the wine. Okay, she got the wine glass, and then now she complimented her hair.
I treat you nicely as well.
Okay, so why this episode is special, and I can always edit it back to the first part, is this is the first episode since we promoted it to the first years.
Yes.
So, and you're quite popular amongst the first years, I must say. A lot of people know you. Yeah, people know you.
Oh,
Like people know.
First years.
Yeah, like one first year watching this. So getting back to the second part of the podcast, right? The way this is actually like the core of what the episode is always about. It's about the person. And we like to explore the person through 3 different categories. The first is talk about love, relationships, family, whatever, everything in that bracket. Second is like your work, your future plans, MBA, and your goals, ambitions. And the third is you just pick.
Mm-hmm.
So you picked cultural identity to be your topic. Mm-hmm. And there are many good ways to describe you. How would you, like, if someone were to ask you, Amani, like, what's your cultural background? How would you say it? And then I ask you questions about it. Like, what's your cultural identity?
To put it in the most succinct way I can, I would say a Bengali Muslim kid growing up in America. I think that that's maybe like the one sentence, and I think there's a lot of like things to unpack there. But basically, like I think my whole life, and I've told this to I think some people know this, but like in like American Western settings, I'm always the most like foreign or exotic or whatever. But in like Desi, now that we know what that is, in like Desi settings or brown settings, I'm always the most white. And it's weird to say white, right? Because of course I'm not white. But, like,
But are you not?
Oh, this is like a nice tan in you.
Yeah, I know you've been just like.
the reverse Michael Jackson.
The more Barcelona, you're like Delhi Kaya.
Exactly. But it's weird. Like I get that all the time from people that I'll say like oh, but I'm something stupid like oh you probably can't handle spice, and I'm like dude what I'm brown, and they're like you're so white. I'm like what?
Do you ever get questions like pick a lane? Like is that?
I've actually never gotten that, but like kind of like derivatives of that.
Okay,
Sure.
so then let's start with the first part, right? There's Bengali. What is a Bengali? No, I know a Bengali. I mean, I know, but like, actually, this guy's the wrong guy to ask. He knows like how everything. But you're familiar with the Bengali, right?
Sure.
He does it. Oh shit! I found something he doesn't know.
Bengali is a language as well as an ethnic community in the northeast of India and Bangladesh that tend to practice Islam.
Did you look this up before?
No.
Well, how does he? That was like
You ask him.
textbook definition.
Ask him the 1985 Oscar. Which movie won the Oscar? 1987.
The Last Emperor.
See. Yeah, it's just
we could just do this the whole time.
So I have a fact checker with me for the podcast. So if anytime someone says a fact, I'm like, no, is that right? He's like, yeah.
My parents and I actually. So I was born in Bangladesh.
Okay.
It's probably more proper of me to say I'm Bangladeshi because, as you pointed out, like Bengali can mean West Bengal in India, and then Bangladesh in Bangladesh. So it's more proper for me to say.
East Pakistan.
What did you say? We're cutting that.
You're cutting this.
I just thought I would do like.
Wow,
I thought I would do a British imperialist joke.
You've just cancelled yourself in all of Bangladesh.
Sorry, Amani's mom.
Man, we owe your mom a lot of apologies in this episode.
We should count the amount of times me and
Yeah, we've said sorry, mom. Yes.
her name is Sabina, but you can call her mom.
So yes, yeah.
So we my parents and I immigrated. Now you have me questioning. Immigrated to the U.S. when I was 6 or 7 years old. It was in 2002, so right after 9/11. So that was interesting. Yeah.
Oh, we need to talk about that. Yeah, but continue. There's a lot. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I obviously moved at a very young age, but my parents never really shed the Bangladeshi identity. We have a lot of family and a huge Bengali Bangladeshi community in Northern Virginia, which is where we immigrated to. And so we never really, like, the culture, the food, the language, the rules, the religion, like everything stayed very much so Bengali. Like the things that we changed were like education, obviously the opportunity and stuff like that. So
Do you still speak Bengali at home?
Yes, I do.
So Bengali was your native language. You learned English once you moved to Virginia.
Yeah. I would say I speak English better than I speak Bengali now. But
Same.
yeah.
Speak for yourself.
No, my English is better than my Russian. Just about.
Yeah. It happens, right?
So yeah, you maintained a lot of, in fact, most of your cultural identity of being a Bengali after moving to the US. But then they were also.
I don't know if I did.
No, but when you let's say you just got there, so you're Bengali, and then that's the formative years, right, of growing old, where you obviously pick up a lot of the cultures of where you are. Then the American part of your identity came through. So now, is it a sexy cocktail of like the right balance of like Bengali, American, Muslim?
Mm-hmm.
or it's a dynamic cocktail which just changes based on where you are? Like, what's the?
I'm laughing. Sexy and cocktail and Muslim.
Oh my God.
Same sentence.
Who moved to the US and such countries, I mean UK, and then belong to a different culture. He's like, okay, like who the hell am I? And my sisters have kind of the same dilemma. So for you, do you struggle with that?
Yeah, I would say like when I was, because I moved at such a young age that when you're really really young, you don't want to be different like at all. The last thing you want to do is stick out. Like I was the kid with the weird accent that like couldn't say a full sentence, or like would bring weird lunches to school. And that's like the last thing you want when you're 7 or 8. So I really, really, starting from a young age, tried to like shed off the identity
Of being a Bengali Muslim.
of being like Bengali in general. Like even taking Muslim out of it, just like being Bengali in general. Like you could obviously tell that I was different, but I would never want to talk about it. When people at school would ask me where I'm from, I would just say like Virginia, and then they'd be like, okay. And it lasted for like a pretty long time, I would say, probably until I was like 20. I would say I really tried to not, outside of my house and outside of my family, I really tried to not identify with it. And I think it stuck from when I was really young. Like I just didn't want to be different. And now it's like, it's so unique to know more languages. It's so unique to have cultural roots in different places, but I resisted that for a very, very long time. So I didn't keep up with my Bengali roots at all.
At the start. To fit in.
I would say I would even say like the first 24 years of my life, like I really resisted it.
So how do you go from that to someone who went on stage? So as many who are watching this would know, you gave a speech on stage where you proudly embraced who you are and your culture. And for 24 years, you completely rejected it. Like what changed? Like, you're doing it for the DEI acceptance, for the jobs, LinkedIn.
They're taking those away in the US now. Like you're not allowed to have like DEI groups and stuff at work anymore. So it's crazy. Thanks, Trump. I think like university, you start to meet like a little bit more people that come from different backgrounds, people that are international, and I think that's when, at least for me, you start to understand that being different is cool. Like knowing different languages and being from a different background is cool. But even in university, I think I still resisted it for sure. But then after I graduated university, I don't know. I don't know if there was like a inflection point, or like one day I woke up, but I was like, "Fuck, am I allowed to curse?"
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
I think it's watching. Like a 15-year-old found this on YouTube.
Oh no, sorry, mom.
But I was like, fuck, like there's this whole part of me that I never tapped into, and I resisted so hard. And it almost felt like I was living like two lives, because at home, I had to identify with it. Like I didn't really have a choice. Like being from a different culture and then being Muslim on top of that is interesting. So at home I had to be Bengali, and I couldn't be Western, I couldn't be American. And then outside, maybe because of that, I like tried to be everything, but like I would never say I was Muslim. I would do like everything that a Muslim kid probably shouldn't be doing. And then I don't know, I think finally when I started to maybe grow another part of my brain, like start to become an adult a little bit, I was like, oh, I really suppressed this for such a long time. Let me try to like get a little bit deeper into this. And there's a young Bengali professionals group in DC.
Nice.
And I applied to like be in it, and I was in it for like a year, and then I actually went on the board of it for like 2 years. And that's when I really started to go, okay, come on, like let's get back into this. You don't have to be like, Bengali was in my veins, like I, like sing the national anthem everywhere we go. But I have been trying to like get back into it. It's not been that long, right? I'm 29, so it's been like 5 years since I've really tried to tap into that a little bit more. So I'm still on the journey and I'm still trying to figure it out. But I think I just like kind of grew up a little bit and was like, okay, maybe it's cool to be different. You know, it's cool to be from like a place maybe a lot of people don't even know about.
Yeah. And I mean, did you have a similar? I mean, your story is not the same, but it's kind of like, do you treat how she looks at her Bengali ethnicity? Do you look at your Russian ethnicity the same way, or?
I mean, I didn't like reject it in the same way, I think. But like one thing, I think I've told you the story, I may have even told on one of the podcasts, which is that I used to go by Paul when I came to the UK, not Pavel.
Oh yeah, I remember
Paul, Paul.
Correct. Because it's basically the same name, like Pablo, Paul, whatever, Paul here in Catalonia. And like when our parents were naming us, they kind of gave us all these kind of like international, like neutral names. Like my brother is called Alex. So in Russia, it's like Alexander is like Sasha.
Yeah.
But and it's like everyone calls him Alex now. And my sister's called Katie. So like the idea was that like whenever, if we ever moved, we could kind of adapt to that place. But then, and I kind of like followed it unquestioningly. So when I lived in Germany, I was Paul, and all my friends named me
really?
Paul. Yeah. And then so when I came to England, I was like, okay, I guess I'm Paul now. Which lasted throughout school. I did 2.5 years of school in the UK. As Paul. And then I came to uni, and in my university application, of course, the name was taken for my passport, which is Pavel. So when I was there in Freshers Week, when we were all like introducing ourselves, I had a name tag that was printed for me, and it said Pavel on it. So I would walk up to someone and go like, hello?
No, that stays in, like that's like, and you're just there like.
I'm so lost.
Okay, we'll try that again. Hello, I'm Paul.
Hi.
And then Amani in this situation was saying, but it says Pavel here.
But it says Pavel here.
You're growing into your role. We can do a few more things. And then I was like, yeah, but like, I go by Paul. And then like first year of uni, I kind of like transitioned back to Pavel because I was like, I don't know why I'm calling myself Paul. Also, I guess it's probably the same in the US, but in the UK, like Paul is like a middle-aged man's name. Like nobody in our generation is called Paul.
When we have a Paul on campus, sorry Paul.
But like, it is quite a rare name, so it just kind of either way I was going to stand out. So then I was like, why not just go by my own name? And I quite like Pavel now. So
that's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like the same time. I think I also like kind of started to re-identify maybe a little bit. That's interesting.
So you were going to say what?
No, I mean I can't fully relate because I didn't have like the religious sort of aspect. Like I grew up an atheist and I'm still an atheist, so I never had to like reject any religious identity. And when people ask me where you're from, I still say like, well, I say I'm from London because that's where I identify with the most. But because that doesn't explain the accent or my name, I usually say, "But my family's Russian," as a kind of like framing device.
Where is your accent from? Like, it's not Russian. It's not.
No, it's not Russian. It's kind of like
It's American.
but it's kind of like international school accent. Is kind of how I think of it.
But you've never lived in the U.S.
Not until I did my exchange in Chicago a few months ago.
Yeah, that's okay. You have, for someone who's not lived in the US, your accent is very American. For someone who's not lived in the US, like.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't sound British, but it depends on kind of what I'm saying. Like, I say stupid and Tuesday. I don't say Tuesday and stupid.
Stupid.
Also, the way you say Paul. You say like Paul.
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
I
do
guess
you
that's
say
more
it?
British, right?
I mean, I'm an Indian. Powell.
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah. So I have like a bit of a blend. I kind of like it.
Do the different names make you feel different? Like when you're a Paul versus a Paul?
A bit, yeah. I don't really know how to put my finger on it, but I think like even though it's the same name, it definitely will have different connotations in different countries. I think also kind of as an extension of how popular it is. So like there's in New York section last year there were 3 Pablos. So if I'd been in the Spanish speaking country, maybe I would have been like, oh hell, okay, I'm Pablo too.
Yeah.
Or maybe I would have been like, no, I don't want to be just another Pablo, then I will go back to Pablo. So Amani is your middle name, right? So was that like also like something you embraced over time?
It's really funny that you mentioned this because I changed.
I don't think a lot of people know on campus that it's your middle name, right?
Amani, yeah. So I rebranded when I came here.
Oh.
Okay, so we're both rebranded when we came to uni.
So my first name is Saida. My middle name is Amani, right? My last name is Mabu. But in Bangladesh, you have like a taknam, which is like your professional, like proper name, and then you have your name that you get called by your family and friends, but like at work you get called something different. That's not technically the case with like Saida Amani. Saida is like it's like every female on my dad's side of the family, their first name is Saida, so that's very confusing sometimes. But it's just like it's like a family name passed down. It kind of means like Mrs. almost. And again, like every female on my dad's side has that first name, but their real name is like their middle name. But the tricky part is like kind of like what you were saying, like my legal first name is Saida. So and I moved around a few times when I was younger, and I would switch schools, and I would get to that desk and it would say Saida on the name tag, and I was just like too shy to change it. I don't know why. Like I don't know why I didn't just go up to teacher and be like, hey, can you print out a new name tag for me? My name is Amani. I just didn't do it, and then it just stuck.
You have name tags in like high schools?
No, not high school. Like I'm speaking like when I was younger.
Oh, right, like primary school.
Yeah, you like have it on your desk, and I just never changed it. You know.
And so your friends call you Saida?
All my friends called me Saida, and then like as I grew up, I just you kind of your friends.
But your mom called you Amani.
My mom calls me Amani. My entire family calls me Amani.
Right.
But then all my friends, like people at school, so by extension my friends called me Saida, and then once I started working, my legal first name is Saida. It was my email, Saida.mabub at whatever. And so I just never really like corrected my friends and people at work. But before I came to the MBA, it's really funny because when I started talking to my roommates, Grace and Kalu, who everyone both know. I introduced myself as Saida. When we were like in the roommate search before we came to the MBA, and then Grace and Kalu both got here, and they were like, Saida, nice to meet you. And I was like, I actually go by Amani now. What? They probably thought I was so weird.
Yeah, they would have been like, okay, who did we move in with?
Just chose a brand new name. Like,
call me Amani now.
I explained it to them or whatever. So it was like I would say in the first like week, I kind of like rebranded
to Amani.
Yeah. Okay. Even I remember when we first started doing creating like the group chats and the WhatsApp groups. My name was Saida Mabub, so people were calling me that. And then in the middle of it, I changed it to Amani. So some people in the first few weeks of school still called me Saida because that's what they were used to when we were chatting. But I changed it because I was just like, this is my actual real name. But kind of, I don't know, maybe a little bit to your point earlier, like I don't necessarily identify with one or the other. People have always asked me like, what's the real you? And I'm like, I don't really care, like people can call me Saida or Amani as long as they've called me that from day one.
Yeah, so I still have people who call me Paul, like my friend from school, and then also my brother and my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
When my brother-in-law met me, I was told Paul, so like to him, just Paul. Like,
he's called you Paul.
Yeah.
And do you feel like that? Like, does that feel wrong when someone calls you Paul versus Pavel?
I mean, if it's someone new, it would be very surprising.
Yeah.
But with those people, no, because like I'm used to that. I mean,
Yeah,
actually, my school friend has recently like switched from Paul to Pavel, even though I never like expressly asked him to. I think it just makes it easier though when you're like in a bigger group because you kind of need to find one name.
One name for everybody.
And there's definitely way more people that know me as Pavel than Paul. But if you want to call me Paul, that's fine.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting that like we can have two different names, but not necessarily identify more
with either of them.
Or the other. Like I don't. No, one isn't calling my name more than. I think many people like unless you are an immigrant or like multiracial, it's hard to understand that you can be like both. And I think that's like what I was saying earlier. Like, I'm always the most foreign in American groups, but I'm always the most like white in
the Indian
Desi groups. And it's like a weird balance because I don't wanna feel like an imposter in either or.
Do you feel like an imposter?
Sometimes it feels like even though I'm not, it feels like other people think I'm trying to be extra Bengali. You know what I mean? Or like.
So they'll feel like you're not Bengali enough.
For sure.
Americans feel
the thing is, I'm never Bengali enough. But I'm never American enough in either of the two situations.
Does that bother you, or like, man, like, do you have to be 100% of something, or it's like the third culture is basically you're just 50, 60, 70, 80 here and there.
Yeah. Intrinsically, it doesn't bother me that I'm not, but like extrinsically, because other people absorb that, that bothers me. And I'm like, I didn't choose this lifestyle. You know, like
Do you want some wine?
Yes, please.
Speaking of lifestyle.
Thank you.
But you can choose to have more. Yeah, sure. But let me just check if it's recording.
Man's traumatized.
Yes. Yeah, I am.
It's a really good question though, but it bothers me because I feel like I can never fit in either crowds. And what's interesting is that ever since I started making friends at a young age, I've always had white friends. I've never.
Was that a conscious choice to be? Because you said for 24 years you tried to just shed off your Bengali identity. So hanging out with white people was.
How big is the community, like where you grew up in terms of Bengali?
Like pretty big, but also just like other like Pakistanis, Indians, like very like Northern Virginia has a very international population.
And there is like a community of them hanging out with each other, even if it's like Pakistani and Indian.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Like kind of wants to do that.
We don't really hang out with Pakistanis around here. But I don't know if it's an animosity thing, but there's just so many Bengalis in general, so like we just hang out. Like my parents just hang out with other Bengalis.
But at school, how many Bengalis were there apart from you?
Like in high school, elementary school, middle school, probably not a lot of like Bengalis, but a lot of Indians, like people from the subcontinent. There was a lot. And my parents would always be like, "Oh, make sure you become friends with the Indians and the Pakistanis, you know, blah blah blah." And for whatever reason, I always gravitated towards the white people. Always.
Was it like again part of your rebellious phase of like, okay, I'm going to just do everything that I've been asked to do by my cultural upbringing? Was that part of it? Part of the process of?
I think it was more I was envious of them because the white kids, or not even the white kids, the Western kids, I should say, were always doing a lot more. You know, they were always going on vacations, and going skiing, and having sleepovers, and blah blah. And then the Desi people were always hanging out with their mom and dad, or like praying or something, or just hanging out with their cousins. Like, Western cultures have a lot more like
things to do,
freedom, like outside, or things to do outside of the family.
Yeah.
So I always envied them, and they were also, the more Western kids were always like playing sports and playing instruments and stuff like that. And at least in my community, like the Desi kids, the brown kids were much more sheltered, live a much stricter lifestyle. So I envied my white friends a lot, and so I would always hang out with them, even though I couldn't do like.
Did you at any point feel that culture was cooler than your culture?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, that's also why probably one of the biggest reasons I suppressed the Bengali
You're
side.
like, man, it's Bengali. It's such a like. Did you feel that?
Yeah,
You were at time
sure.
like just like.
I was like, I get to go to the mosque and fast and not eat for fucking 30 days.
Yeah.
And, like not talk about boys and not have sleepovers and stuff and not have freedom.
You weren't allowed sleepovers?
Never.
Oh.
Never had I've never had a, I mean, now I have
Cut that part out.
She's not had a sleepover, never. Like,
No, I like as a kid, I never had a sleepover. Like it would be all my friends would be at the sleepover, and my parents would pick me up at 9 p.m. Yeah, so
you were annoyed, like you were just.
I was resentful.
That would be very annoying.
Yeah, I was resentful. I was annoyed, but thankfully, like there's some kids that thought it was like weird, like my culture, my background, how strict my parents were. But a lot of people they were just like, okay, like
So
you have strict parents, whatever.
What do you think your parents were worried about in terms of like why did they have to pick you up and not just leave you there? Because the other things I get, like the praying and like whatever, but in that particular instance, like what's wrong with the sleepover?
I'm trying to think what it was. I think they just didn't want me. This is my guess, my educated guess. They just didn't want me to become too influenced, like spend too much time. Their one quote was like, if I was ever like saying something that sounded too American, they'd be like, oh my God, so you're a Christian now?
Really? Yeah, you spoke about, cultural diversity is cool. Oh, it's, we came into an age where, it was cool to be culturally diverse. It was cool to have like different backgrounds. Yeah. But personally, you had certain reasons why you didn't like it. When did those change?
It changed when I was able to take myself out of the context of living as a Muslim immigrant kid.
When I have sleepovers.
And when I could drink and when I could wear what I want, it's like and I had my own job and I had my own space.
So do you think because in America they have quite weird attitudes to drinking in general.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think when you first started drinking that felt different for you than it would have felt for like a white teenage kid?
I think so. I think drinking was like one aspect of it. I didn't I drank a few times in high school, but I never really got the opportunity to go to parties anyway, so I didn't drink that much. And when I went to university, I started drinking a lot and went a huge partying phase and stuff. But even other than drinking, just being able to spend my time how I wanted to spend my time and being able to hang out with friends for an extended period of time and not being picked up 2 hours later, or being able to hang out with boys and I was never allowed to do that. And also just being able to wear what I want. I think that was a huge thing as well. So I think to answer the question is when I wasn't being limited by what I perceived as the negative parts of being an immigrant Muslim Bengali kid, then I started to kind of understand there's so much beauty in the music and the food, and my family is different. We're unique, and we're not like a lot of other families that my friends have, and our clothes are super cool. But I never really cared about those things when I was living in it.
I mean, your answer to their favorite meal was not hamburger and fries. So you've come a long way, and you've finally embraced how beautiful your culture is.
Yeah.
And you've also I've interacted with people who've and I'm not saying this applies to you, but I've interacted with people who've come from conservative families, and you clearly see that it's not so much that the culture is annoying them. It's the these shackles and these restrictions that the culture doesn't really impose on it, but there's some cultural aspect that is what annoys them. The moment they start to just do and live their life normally, then they are also culturally. But then do you then lose your culture? You're drinking, you're doing things because you're old enough and smart enough to define what a Bengali Muslim woman is like. Mm-hmm. You would call yourself a Bengali Muslim woman now, despite everything you do is considered not Bengali Muslim.
Recently, so I thought I wasn't Muslim anymore, but recently a Muslim told me that you're a Muslim for life. So I guess I can never give up my membership. I like your word of the third. What did you say?
Third culture kid.
Third
culture kid, because truly, yes, it's two different cultures, two different ethnicity, or two different backgrounds put together. But I think that in itself,
it's a culture.
Yeah, the intersectionality between those two, I think, is what defines it, because it's a truly unique experience from being just Bengali or just being American.
So yeah, and I think you guys are that generation now where you grew up in a different culture, but your family's from a very different culture, and it's just this is starting to be the new normal, and then you'll see the interracial kids. That will be a whole different.
Yeah, and one thing, there's not like a lot of literature or movies or podcasts or books on it. So when I was growing up, like I was like, there must be some other people that I can relate to, like what I'm going through. Could never find a book on it. Could never find anything on it. I still can't. Now I'm in an interracial relationship, and that itself comes with a lot. So that's for another podcast. And I'm trying to look up podcasts or like kind of books that kind of have, or people that have, are in similar situations, and I can't find any. So I think you're right in the sense that like maybe now is the time. One goal I have in life is to write a book, not because I think I'm gonna be famous, but just to explain.
You heard. Yeah, I mean, now that you're here, now like, be ready for like just like your phone to blow up.
Contact my agent. Ariana Pablo.
I'll take it.
We'll take it, man. Like, sure.
But I want to write a book to kind of explain to like my future kids what it was like. Also just more of like a personal journey, and try to unpack for myself like what this journey of being like an immigrant kid has been. Because there's not a lot of literature on it.
So let's go quickly through your book. Your most painful chapter. What is that about?
Oh my god.
And then we talk about the best part of the chapter, and at the end is a message for any Bengali woman who's reading this, who's growing up in. Yeah, I do ask tough questions.
Yeah. Has anyone ever cried on your podcast?
We've had, yeah.
Oh, you just took it out.
He cried in the last podcast.
Me?
Yeah, I remember we both cried.
With Bruno?
Bruno gave, and we were high, so his answer to meaning of life was amazing. Like it was really nice. So.
Oh fuck, no pressure. Your first question was what would be the darkest chapter of?
I don't use the word dark.
Saddest?
What's a good positive way to call a sad part? What's a nice it's a, suffering. What's a positive way?
What do you detest?
Okay, like you're reading.
What's the hardest part?
What's the hardest part?
Challenging.
Yeah, I don't. That's an MBA word, challenging. Like I like, especially now in Q&A, everybody's like, when there's a guest speaker and someone asks, "What's been your biggest challenge?" I'm like,
what would be the fucking worst chapter in your book?
yes, that's a good way to put it.
So you should ask the next question.
The next panel.
What's the first fucking chapter if you had a book?
I think when I was probably between the ages of 10 and 17, I felt like I was in a little bit of I don't know if survival mode was the right word, but I really wasn't enjoying my life.
For 7 years.
It wasn't like a constant thing, but I felt very resentful. I felt like the world was unfair. Like, why was I born into this system? Like, there was a lot of things. Like, there's times where I was looking up like how to be emancipated. The feelings were really strong about like, this is not the type of life that I should live, that anyone should live. This is unfair that I just got put into this. Like, my soul is here, but my body wants to be somewhere else, or vice versa. I mean, sorry. But so I was like, how do I get out of this situation? Like those periods, especially as a kid when you can't really identify your feelings, was very, very, very tough. And I never sought help. Like, I never talked to anyone about it. In basic culture, even back then, in any culture, like mental health is not a thing.
Yeah. You don't reach out.
If I were to tell my parents, they would just tell me to kind of suck it up, or like I'm making stuff up, or I'm fine. And it was kind of about them as well, so it's pretty hard to talk to them about it.
And you don't have siblings, I'm guessing.
I have a sister, but she's 10 years younger than me, so we were always at like completely different stages of life. I did have a lot of cousins that were around my age, so that I think without them, I wouldn't have been able to get through a lot because they were in the same situation as me, like immigrant, Bengali, American, Muslim, very similar parents, like very similar upbringing. So I wouldn't have been able to get through a lot without them for sure. I think that was like my saving, what's the right word, saving grace. But I think throughout that time I found like a purpose a little bit that helped me get through it. And it was like education. Like your ticket out of this lifestyle is going to university and like going away to university.
Did you go far geographically?
I didn't go far. I went like 3-4 hours away, but it was like far enough to
3-4 drive.
a 3-4 hour drive. So like
American Standards is not very far.
it's not very far, but I had to move out.
Right.
Like my parents weren't gonna move down there, obviously.
You were still in Virginia?
I'm still in Virginia. Yeah.
But I guess mentally you were like
Yeah.
far from the bubble you were in.
I feel like I'm painting this picture where I like hate my
No,
I
not
love
that.
them,
No.
and I actually didn't want to be that far away from them, but I wanted to be farther away to like finally start living my own life. And like where I went to university, it was perfect.
You were 18 then.
I was 18. It was like the school I wanted to go to. It was in state, so it was affordable for me. Like everything kind of worked out. And so that was always like, even when I was 10, you don't think about college, but I knew that like somehow that was my one ticket like out of this like lifestyle. You know, like you hear these stories about like this small town girl and the only way she's gonna get out is like to get into a good university and go to New York. Like I didn't grow up in a small town, but like my world was very small. And so like my one ticket out was like to get into a good enough university that I would be able to go away. I was the first person out of like my cousins my age to go away to college, because I almost didn't go because my parents were like, "You're not going away to college. You're staying here." Like there's university. Northern Virginia has a lot of good universities, and they're commuter schools. Like you can go there, not live on campus, and live at home. That's what all my cousins did. And that's what I almost did.
Oh man!
But I got into a good university. I got a good scholarship, and
Like you must have studied your ass off. Like I'm getting the fuck out of here. You were. I need that.
I don't know why I'm doing this. But one day it's gonna be.
It's gonna be.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stay in school, kids.
yeah. So that's a good chapter.
Yeah.
That's a good chapter and it has a happy ending in terms of like you did what you had to do to come out of it and you came out of it.
Yeah.
So to conclude this section, if a Bengali or anyone who's going through the same thing that you went through between the age of 10 to 17 is going through, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, this is not the best advice, but I understand the life that they are living and the type of families that they have. Tough it out. Honestly,
Suck it up.
Suck it up!
Tough. You can try to rebel, but if you have a relationship like I do, where like you still respect your parents and you love them and you want to have a relationship with them, respect their rules. You're living in their until you're living in their house, but your one ticket out again is going to be education and like pulling yourself out of that situation when you are 17, 18 years old. But until then, again, if you want to maintain like a relationship with your family, you have to just tough it out. Like you're gonna have a different life than your friends, but it will change. I don't. Yes, I think I missed out on a lot, but now I'm living the life that I want to live. Like, almost like 100%. So that was.
Of course, you're in this podcast.
Exactly.
Guys, so if you want to make it,
Dreaming about it 17.
look where she is.
I made it.
Look where she is.
I made it.
The little small town girl on the Fresh Meat podcast with Aryan and Papa.
Made it, man.
Made it, ma.
I made it, Mom.
This is the only thing we can show to your mom. She made it. Yeah. She's here. Nice.
So yeah, not like the best advice, but I think it's the most honest one I can give.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Show and tell.
So a lot of people have a lot of, very meaningful very deep. The way you're looking at it.
I'm trying to figure out what it is. Show the camera what it is.
I will. They have very deep,
Okay.
meaningful things that maybe their grandmother has passed down to them.
We've had
And
that one in.
I have her.
Aww.
What's her name?
Her name is Gloria.
Gloria.
Because Madagascar.
You fucking know everything.
He knows everything. There you go. This guy's.
Look at me.
Oh shit! Oh, Gloria, no. I'll zoom in.
So cute,
Very cute.
right?
Oh, he's actually. Wait, did you get this from Africa?
Yes, I did. So the theme of like this app, like I watched Madagascar.
To get inspired
Yeah, because I literally everything
came
is
to
like
Africa. Oh my god.
that is a very American thing to do.
To watch Madagascar,
You gotta
to prepare yourself to go to Africa, yeah, that's definitely a very American thing to do.
But I think it was amazing because I had this picture in my head that like all the animals just like get along, the lions and the hippos
No,
were
you
all
did
just
not.
like falling in love or whatever. And then I got to the safari and everyone was eating each other and I was like,
Wait, obviously, one second, did you think that was the documentary of Africa? Madagascar was, you thought that was like the actual representation of how animals just lived and danced together. I like to move it, all the animals in the savannah. Just like, you think there's like a big rave happening in like Africa?
I just had this like picture and it became like I don't know, it became like a theme throughout our whole trip. Like everyone that went on the safari with me, like I quoted Madagascar every 2 seconds and I named every animal that I saw. And yeah, I did. And anyone that's watching, there's this character called Moto Moto in Madagascar 2. And Moto and Gloria fall in love and there's just like
Oh, well, he walks on the beach and he's got like
and he's got like a 6-pack. Yeah.
more like a family pack.
Yeah.
Good
And-
knowledge of the Madagascar movies, sorry.
Yeah.
You said your brother was a filmmaker, right?
Yeah, but he's like.
Sorry, Aryan's brother.
I mean, he watches like all these Russian art films, and I'm like, oh, Madagascar.
Madagascar's good.
I'm not saying it's not good.
Okay, thank you.
Madagascar 3 is the masterpiece in my opinion.
I haven't seen it. I only seen the first 2.
Yes,
I thought I found the second one hilarious, and I really liked Gloria. And then I saw a lot of hippos in Africa, in Kenya, and so then I got this, and it makes me really happy every time I see it.
She's cute.
Yeah, it's very cute.
And but her mouth is.
Imperfect, you know.
Stop
Animals are
laughing.
imperfect too, you know.
No, it's like tilted, right?
It's a little, one side is a little bigger than the other. I like it, it's imperfect.
There is beauty in imperfection.
Exactly.
There's this guy, so basically he spoke about, how there are AI machines models that can actually play chess better than humans. But nobody, I mean, you could easily code a machine to play like chess better than all of us. Because it's like very narrow AI, right? It's not general purpose AI. But he said, still nobody will watch two AIs play chess or any sport together. Because we watch humans play sports and any games together because humans tend to make mistakes, they're imperfect, and that's something that we enjoy.
It's much more entertaining.
It's more entertaining, so there's that beauty and charm to imperfection. So I guess that's
being perfect is boring.
imperfect is boring.
But I mean, there used to be a time when computers were worse at chess than humans, and people still would watch them play against each other.
What?
That's true.
There was a time when computers were worse at chess than humans, like in the 90s. And so they were definitely making mistakes, but you still wouldn't sit down and watch a game between computers.
No, but I think
it's a good argument that we want imperfection, but I don't think that's a good argument.
No, I think it's just
evidence for it, because the reason we don't watch computers play against chess is because we don't care about computers. We want to have someone to relate to, whether they're perfect or imperfect.
no, but even for the game that we're watching, right? So if you're watching let's say you're watching a football match, like you would like to watch humans play because they'll probably do something which is silly, but that's human, and they do something human which is not maybe the most logical thing to do, and I think that imperfection is what makes us human, and that's what makes it beautiful.
Someone said once, I don't remember who it was, that the reason people like live music is because someone can fuck up at any moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Which is kind of a dark
And
way
it's
of...
not wrong.
So before we get to the last segment, there are some questions from the audience. One question is,
Gloria.
Oh, Gloria, sorry. Are you super mega, and this is exactly how it was phrased, are you super mega chill about slippers in the house? Are you super mega chill about it, and give me context of what this is? I'm guessing you already know who asked that question. So yeah, are you super mega chill about slippers in the house?
Oh my god, I feel like I can't roll my eyes harder.
Sean.
So I'm wearing slippers right now.
In your face.
Well, I just think everyone in their home should wear slippers.
Yes.
Because first of all, it's really good for your feet. Like, it's super comfortable. Second of all, if you wear socks, you're walking like on the floor with your socks and they're dirty, and then a lot of people get into bed with their socks. They're tracking in all that dirt into bed. Okay? And then if you just don't wear socks, then obviously your feet are dirty, and then you're tracking the dirt that you're into bed. So perfect solution.
To wear slippers. As an Asian, I would agree. As an Asian thing. I think it's an Asian thing.
What do you think?
I'm good with socks. I just wouldn't wear them to bed.
Thank you.
So I guess that's been answered. So, and the other question, it's actually two questions. One was asked. So the two words were mentioned in this question, and then the next question stressed it again. What are your views on time blocking? And please, I have no context, but it's been asked by the same person again. Sean has asked this question. What is time blocking? Someone has to block your time to meet you. Is that what it is?
No. I block my time for everything. Like, I block my time for
Like you block your calendar time.
For everything. I don't know. It's kind of scary. I can show you guys.
So it like says 5:30 go to the gym, 6:30 study, 7:30 cook dinner.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And how good are you at following through with this?
Pretty good. Like, it's color coded. I don't know.
No way.
Don't zoom into this, okay? I'm a little sound a little embarrassed.
Can I see?
Yeah, but it's like I have it color coded. Like you guys are on there.
Oh, okay. Well, we'd hope so.
And like it's like it helps me be very sane, and like I know it seems insane.
I've been thinking of doing that. Yeah.
I could use this in my life
because I have a bit of a procrastinating tendency, and I think if you're more like accountable to yourself for time units,
it
does lose a bit of magic though. Like
it loses a bit of spontaneity for sure, and sometimes when I can't do what's on my calendar that I put in there, like it throws like it's just I'm like damn it I didn't do it, but the upside is much larger than like. I think the lack of content.
Okay, so this is not productivity tips, but you're covering all the bases.
Wear slippers inside the house, and then have a schedule and time block everything. Interesting. I mean, the second question was also about time blocking, and it was just like stressing on. I think it was something to do with the. It was again, would you time block something? I forgot, but it's to do with time blocking.
Okay.
So now I don't.
So all the questions that you got were from.
I mean, the obvious question is, would you time block sex?
No, that would be weird.
What a stupid fucking question, Pablo.
Yeah.
Send a calendar invite.
Sex.
I would never do that.
It lasts for like 1 minute. It's been blocked 24 minutes.
And that really throws me off.
Shit! It was for 1 minute.
Damn it.
Wow. But this actually a habit that I want to take pic. Also nice. So these are all questions were from the one person. I'm guessing you already know who that person
great.
is. Your story was liked by it probably got the most likes the story's ever gotten.
Really?
But like no one asked the question. I'm like guys, that's a nice question. Man. Like everyone's liking it heart. I'm like okay guys.
Have you always asked for questions?
A few episodes, not all. Like the idea is to do it for all. But we haven't had a chance to do it for all. We did it for Bruno. But the thing is, the questions are always like this. Like even Bruno, silly. One of the questions are like, how are you so irresistible? What am I supposed to say? You know?
I can't wait to watch it.
So I really was high for that question also, by the way.
Sure.
Nice. Okay, so we've concluded all the sections except for the last, and we save I think the best for the last. Is still recording. Yes. So
Question number 4.
yeah, 4 actually. No, 5. 4
Oh,
including
yeah.
the section for the questions. So it's a question we ask everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and because it's the same question but very different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, for you, what is the meaning of life?
Whew. I always like to end light. I
Yeah.
see. Meaning of life. So I just read Man's Search for Meaning. I don't know.
Victor Frank.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have read it, but I never read it. It's apparently a book that a lot of people read in like high school and stuff, but I never read it. So it was recently gifted to me, and read it very quickly. It's very small, but what I've been doing lately is writing down quotes in books that I like, because I'm reading a book and I'm like, oh, this quote is so good, and then I forget it, you know. So I've been writing down some quotes, and I wrote down these quotes, which I think, for me, really emphasize the meaning of life. And I will read them, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
of course. It's okay, I'll edit this out.
What?
I'll edit out this thing. Struggle to open a page.
So there's 3 quotes that I really liked in this book that I wrote down. Number 1, he who has a will to live can bear almost any how. For me, that means like, if you have a sense of purpose towards something, the execution is bearable, as long as you are able to fully grasp like what you are trying to attain and why. And I think when I was reading this book, obviously it was about the Holocaust, and I don't claim to have experienced anything close to that.
But
when
it's
I
like
was,
when you were 17, basically.
exactly, like, or when I was living through the 10 through the 17,
17.
I didn't really know, like, at age 10, 11, 12, like, what was at the end of me, like, studying very hard and whatnot. But I had a sense of purpose, and it really got me through. And once I was getting closer and closer to, like, university age, I was like, okay, like, here it is. Like, this is what I worked for. And I think that really got me through, along with my cousins. Like, I would say my cousins, and the purpose of being able to go away to university and finally start living that life that I want to really got me going. And, you know, I think this quote very well encompasses that, because I was able to bear the how of living the type of lifestyle that I want to live, because I had a sense of purpose at the end,
Yeah,
you know. And so I was reading it and I was like, oh my god, this all makes sense now.
it resonates with you.
Yeah. Quote number 2 is, life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. So pretty similar
Pretty
to what
much
I was just
similar to
saying.
the first one.
And the last one is, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves.
If we are no longer challenged to change the situation, we're challenged to
No
change
longer
us.
able.
If we're not able to challenge the situation,
When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves.
It's basically stoicism, right?
Yeah, exactly. This one, I don't think I directly really resonate with like a time in my life, but it's something that I am trying to do like right now. I'm a very like rigid, type A, pragmatic, hyper
You're type A, really?
logical.
The time working being given away.
no way. Slippers and a fucking calendar just like blocked.
Also, by the way, I don't know if you can see these muffins in the shot, but they don't have any sugar in them. So, and they have protein powder.
These are for Aryan because he's
He's
getting jacked.
Jack.
Let's go.
But it's something that I try to do now because I am very rigid, and like sometimes not everyone is like that, and I think I get disappointed pretty easily by people or by situations, not just by people. And
Like this podcast.
yeah, completely waste of time.
I could have been doing anything at this point. What the fuck have I done? Made chili for these 2 idiots.
There goes a few hours of my life.
For like 5 people to watch this.
No, this is for my mom, remember?
That's
20
true.
years
That's
for
true.
that.
That's true. We're only showing her like the last part of the podcast, by the way.
Yeah,
The
right.
first part, I was drinking, I didn't want to be Muslim, is all I did now.
I resented that.
Resented them. But okay, so yeah, you've.
Yeah, but that one I think, especially on the MBA when I met a lot of different types of people that I'm not used to from different backgrounds, different work ethics, everything. You can't necessarily change a situation. I've learned to kind of mend my own ways a little bit more.
You internalize the point.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like if you can't change a situation, but you still want a solution, the only thing you can do is change yourself a little bit, right? So
I'm glad to hear you say that because we're on the same Menfi team. So.
Don't worry.
Good luck.
I wasn't until today.
I just saw that calendar like, oh my god.
Yeah, I'll be sending you some invites for our project.
Nice.
But yeah, so I think, this book really emphasized a lot, like if you have a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning, like that I think for me is the meaning of life. It's not like searching for happiness or searching for success. Like some people are searching for happiness and there's no sense of meaning or purpose in it, or like success. Like, but what is your purpose in finding that success? Like, is it because you want to achieve a certain dollar amount or you want to buy the house for your mom? Like that is the purpose, not like being successful. So I've tried to disassociate a little bit of like emotions in finding the meaning of life and more like, what is a purpose? Like what is actually making me happy? Is it making more friends, or is it because I'm getting closer to a certain person, or is it because I get closer to my family or whatnot? Like that is like...
That is what...
Yeah, I would say. And
Wow.
It's a good way to end it, I think.
It was the most intellectual answer we have received.
Not enough to make you cry, but if I had known that, I would have come up with a story to make you cry.
I've already put a cry in my calendar for tomorrow.